All right, and here we go with our tail of the tape for our co-main event tonight. It's that of one of the undefeateds. Neither men hold a loss in their professional career, as we have mentioned, each having 4 wins as well. Which one is going to leave Front Street Fights 3 inside CenturyLink Arena with a spotless record? We're about to find out.
Both guys look in great shape just by their physique, but you know that never tells everything, how your conditioning is, but both guys look very lean. They definitely obviously do their training. So, you know, I think this could be a very action-packed fight either way. On the ground, I don't see it being on the ground and just being a slow fight. If it does hit the ground, I see it being a lot of action.
All right, now let's head back into the cage for the official introductions with ring announcer Britt Albert.
And now, let's meet the fighters in tonight's co-main event. First, fighting out of the red corner, he comes in tonight with a perfect record of 4 wins against 0 defeats, standing 5 feet 6 inches tall, weighing in at 135 pounds, representing Sick Jitsu out of Spokane, Washington. I give you Josh Juggy Gow. And fighting out of the blue corner, also with a perfect record of 4 wins against 0 defeats, standing 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighing in at 134 pounds. He represents Sklavos MMA in Twin Falls, Idaho. I give you David, the Aztec Warrior, Burgara. Our referee when the action begins in our co-main event is Mr. Scott Barker. Scott.
Waiting for the official instructions from referee Scott Marker for our co-main event, and he calls the fighters to the center of the cage.
Camera, turn this way. Face in. Okay, gentlemen, went over the rules before the fight. Obey the commands, my commands at all times. Follow the rules at all times. This is the co-main event, gentlemen. Give us a good fight. Touch gloves.
And now, fight fans, here we go with our co-main event. It's time for another Downtown Throwdown. Here we go.
And here we go, Yabo, our co-main event of the evening. Josh Gow, David Burgara. It's a battle of the undefeateds. What more could you want right about now?
This is good stuff right now, the undefeated fights, and this is something that I want to see personally, so I'm very excited to see how this is going to start.
A little cat and mouse game right off the bat. Both not wanting to jump a little too early, which is probably a smart thing, and a hard body kick right there by by David Burgara.
You see Josh kind of playing around. I think he's looking to shoot in, to be honest, just by the way he's moving, and I think he's looking to move in. I think David's doing great. He kicks and moves. He kicks and moves. He doesn't rush at him. That's, you know, he knows he's kind of a jiu-jitsu guy, so.
And again, the trend of all black trunks seems to be continuing tonight.
Definitely, same colored trunks all night. Maybe that's the thing that we do at Front Street Fights.
You know, maybe that's our niche in the world of MMA. Everybody has to wear the same color clothing and make it as hard as possible on the TV commentators.
Both guys throwing some bombs. A good one too by Josh.
And again, as you mentioned, Josh looking like he's wanting to shoot in, as you can tell, keeping his guard down a little bit low, but able to block that kick right there. That's
something I don't think you want to be careful of that, going in to do something like that. I mean, even if you get half a hand up, you know, that can knock you out fast. So myself, I would advise against doing that stuff.
And it seems right now that Josh Gow has an answer for pretty much anything David Burgara has been throwing at him. You've seen him come in with a couple of punch, couple of kicks, and Josh Gow going for a haymaker right there.
But I like what David's doing. He's standing back. He's throwing the distant punches. He's throwing the distance kicks. He's not letting Josh get close to him, which is good, because I think once Josh gets close, I think he's going to take it right to the mat.
Now, you saw right there, Josh looked like he was going to shoot in, but came up for a couple of punches. How hard is that to try and execute? And maybe one punch right there from David landing.
Well, that's what guys that'll take you down will do. They're going to do kicks, they're going to do punches, and then they're going to suck you in, and sooner or later they're going to fake a punch and take you down.
And again, looks like he's going for the guillotine hold right there. Doesn't really have it locked in. 3 minutes left in a round 1 of 3 scheduled fights of our co-main event of the evening, Front Street Fights 3, presented by bodybuilding.com.
And that one there, I think David is the one that actually took him down. Burgara was actually the one that shot in after a couple punches and went at him, which was surprising to me. But he can do everything. He has had submissions, so it's not like he's a rookie to beat on the mat.
And you can't really tell from our advantage, Josh, who has control right here? Does anybody really have control?
Definitely. Right now, David's got control. I mean, he's got side control right now. He seems like he's being strong, but he's being patient. Josh is trying to turn into him now to get up to his feet. A very good reverse spin there by Josh. He definitely knows what he's doing and trying to change positions, not get caught in anything. But at the same time, David's still on top, staying strong, staying poised, and in control.
Hard right hand right there by David Burgara.
David now wants to stand it back up.
Is that something that you want to do from time to time if you're ground game, if you're on top of your opponent? Do you want to get off of him and let him back up?
Definitely. I mean, if that's your game, obviously David already showed he's got some definitely good striking skills, and maybe he didn't want to stay in the ground and just play himself out. He can get up, take a breath, and he can get back to that distance striking.
And you can see Josh Gow by his stance a couple of times looking for some sort of spin kick combination to probably throw David Burgara's way here as we approach just over a minute and a half left in round 1 of our co-main event of the evening.
Definitely good action out there, David, too, with a 1-2 punch. Josh, keeps his hands low. That's just obviously his style.
Goes for the Superman punch.
Definitely a neat style he has. Very unorthodox, to be honest. But those fighters can be very tricky to deal with at times.
How hard is it to execute a Superman punch? You got to go flying at your opponent. He's going to see it coming.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a tough one. It's something you got to plan. You can't just do it out of nowhere. There's got to be the proper time for it.
And again, Josh Gow shooting in just a little bit, throwing a couple of kick and punches David Burgara's way as we approach the last minute of round 1 between Josh Gow and David Burgara, our co-main event of Front Street Fights 3. Definitely a lot of cat and mouse going on in this last minute.
Cat and mouse, but they're both being smart. Good defense there by Josh. One thing, too, I think Josh has got to add more punches to his combinations, not just a 1-2. He throws a nice right-left hook, but I think you should follow up with something after that. That's where most of the time you're going to get the knockout. It's not the 1-2 punch, but the 3 or the 4.
Hard left hand right there by David Burgara connects to Josh. Kind of waking him up a little bit. Josh going for the uppercut there. He's going for the guillotine again. Doesn't quite get it. He's got 20 seconds left in round 1. You've got your internal clock working. What are you trying to do when you know you're probably approaching the end of your first round?
Right there, I think Dave was did. He kind of got, Josh did a good job cornering, cutting off the cage. He took angles at him. He put David on the cage, and Dave didn't have much to do but take him down. It's kind of a safety move right there. He did get the takedown, mind you, but I think it was a thing to kind of save himself.
And again, approaching the end of round 1 of our co-main event, and there it is, round 1 in the books between Josh Gow and David Burgara. Very entertaining first round from these two guys.
Definitely, both guys. I mean, David throwing some awesome strikes. Josh, very unorthodox, doing some wild things out there, which I thought was cool. He looks like he's hard to really put into place and to figure out what he's going to do. He holds his hands low, he holds them high. He does some crazy movements out there. He turns to southpaw. So it's kind of tricky when you're fighting a guy like that. But I think David, what he did good was step back, keep his distance, and didn't allow to fall into any of those little tricks, I like to call them. And just he did his striking.
As we get ready for round 2, again, if you're scoring this one, probably pretty even in the first round. What do each of these guys have to do in round 2?
Well, basically, I think Josh is going to come out and do the same thing. I think he has to add more punches to his combinations, what I said earlier. David, I think he did his best. He did good both on the mat and striking, but I did like some of his distance strikes. I think he should stay at that because that kept Josh at bay a little more when he did that striking.
And that Superman kick right there that Josh Gow went for, what does that got to do for his psyche and his opponent's psyche as we get ready for round 2, knowing he's got some high flying coming your way?
I mean, definitely. David's going to be sitting back because you're always going to wonder what's happening next. What else does he have in his bag of tricks? I mean, some of these guys can have a lot of stuff they might save for a round or two. A spinning back fist, a spinning kick, you never know.
And here we go with round 2 between Josh Gow and David Burgara. Let's see how much these two fighters have kind of switched up their game a little bit, still really feeling each other out right now.
David there with a nice inside leg kick.
And you talk about it from one of the earlier fights, that knee to the side of the stomach. Does that start loosening up your opponent's legs, just little kicks like that and a lot of them?
Definitely. At first, I mean, you can even see the inside of Josh's knee, right around the VMO muscle. It's red. The outer quad is red. I mean, that takes a toll after a while. I mean, he's moving around well right now, but if this goes into like a later round, well, you know, it could make a difference.
Hard
nice
slam down there by David Burgara.
Definitely showing some strength by David. You know, I mean, he's definitely not scared to hit the mat hard. I mean, he's got it in him.
And just missing with a hard right hand was David Burgara again on top. A couple shots landing either way here, nothing really going on, and it looks like he's not going to, and now we actually are going to get it. He's going to let him back up.
A smart move by David, I think. There, you know, you don't want to get caught with an up kick or something. You know, that is a smart thing. Josh really trying to get in with some of those hooks, looking for a knockout, I think.
Now, when you've had your opponent down on his back a couple of times and nothing's really seemed to work, do you want to keep it upright at that point, knowing it hasn't worked on the ground, or do you still go back to it again as we see a hard left kick there from David Burgara?
You got to keep trying anything. I mean, David's had some good strikes. He's had some good control on the ground. So, I mean, I think either way he looks good. And I still think Joshua, too, he's trying to get in tight. He's trying to close that distance and get the hooks in, kind of like a Mike Tyson.
You know, you got to give it up for Josh Gow. His speed and his ability to react at what David Burgara is throwing at him, pretty flawless at this point.
Definitely. He's very agile out there. You can see it in his movement, his feet, his upper body. He's very agile, which makes it, you know, it's tough because he's always moving. He's moving to you. He's moving side to side. He's cutting off the ring. It makes it hard for David to get set to do that striking.
And David's landed a couple of punches. Josh comes in with a couple of punches right there, and again, David takes him down to the mat, going for the ground game once again.
Josh hit him with a little right cross there and maybe kind of stunned him, and I think David, again, a safety move, taking him to the mat to kind of get a breather and maybe get your head set again, you know?
If you're doing that in your mind, you're taking a couple of shots, and again, none of your fights you've probably had time to think like that. But you take a shot like that, okay, that hurt. Is your first instinct to get away or just get him down to the ground, breathe, separate yourself at all costs?
Well, I guess my fights were a lot different. Mine was down to the ground. My thought is I'm getting back up and throwing the punches. So, and that's the thing. You know, everybody has their style of fighting. And right now, I think, you know, David, again, control on top. He does well. I mean, he's not hitting with a lot, but he does have control. And that's a big thing. Being on the bottom like that will tire you out.
And going for an armbar, some sort of submission hold.
He's trying to get an Americana in there, but I don't think it's going to happen. He doesn't have the angle for it, to be honest.
Doesn't really have the angle. David trying to avoid this hold at all costs. Just about 1:50 left in round 2 of our co-main event of the evening. You can definitely see David concentrating, not letting Josh get that position.
David's doing the right thing. He's shrimping him towards the cage. That's what you got to do. You got to push him up the cage, and that's going to allow him to get his arm out. Probably, you know, squish it in there, and I think he almost twisted it out, but he's trying to get him up against the cage.
1.5 minutes left, round 2 of our co-main event of the evening, Front Street Fights 3, presented by bodybuilding.com, and he's able to get out of the hold and gain a little bit of control and get that arm free. Do you just hold on for a bit now if you're David Burgara?
Definitely. No, I think he's going to take a breather. He's going to be careful, but he's going into the elbows now. This is good. He's got the body clinch. He's still on top. He's still in control, and when you're on the bottom in this position, it is tiring. You get tired. I mean, you have a guy laying on you. He's punching you. I mean, he can take a breather where you have to fight for air.
And as now, if you get a close-up on Josh Gow's face, definitely some of those punches by David has landed as Josh is cut a little bit under his right eye, but they're right in front of us right now. Neither one of them seem too gassed or panicked at this point.
No, both guys look very conditioned, which I said coming in here, you know, you can never tell that by the physique, but both guys look very conditioned, and they really haven't slowed down, which is amazing. It's keeping the action going in this fight.
And hard shots by both on each other as we get the last 30 seconds here in round 2. But again, none of these punches really seem to have phased them yet.
No, both guys have landed some. You know, nobody's really taken a stumble or a little slip or a daze, it looks like. I mean, they're just, you know, they're pretty solid chins so far.
As we approach the last 10 seconds of a wildly entertaining fight, obviously in the running for fight of the night so far, you got to admit, as David Burgara and Josh Gow both landing a couple of bumps, and a hard kick by Josh Gow there right at the end of the round, probably saved by the bell for somebody.
Definitely, you know, it could have been. And there's those up kicks I was talking to you earlier, how David was letting him get up because those up kicks can be dangerous. I've seen him knock guys out cold.
And you got to take a look at both of them right now. Josh Gow seems to be showing a little bit more frustration, like maybe his plan for this fight hasn't really phased out just yet.
Well, no, I mean, David's been taking him down, and I think that, you know, being on the bottom will frustrate you. I mean, he had, you know, kind of Americana he was going for there, but being on the bottom, fighting to get up, not being able to get up, getting tired, makes it frustrating. I mean, it makes you kind of lose your game plan at times. Not that he's lost his game plan by all means, but I think he's looking to keep it on his feet.
Both fighters showing a little bit of damage from this fight. Josh Gow cut under his right eye a little bit. You can see on the left cheek of David Burgara. He's also got a little slice as well. Going back, let's take the first round, put it into the second round. A lot of cat and mouse, a little more action from the second round. Are you just basically expecting, as Jim Ross would say, a slobber knocker in this one?
I don't know. I think right now they're going to come out again on their feet. I don't see David taking us to the mat again right at the start of this round. If he gets in trouble, maybe. But I think he's going to try and do some striking. Also, he's got to be careful. Josh has got some powerful hooks, so we'll see how he takes it.
Oh, going for a spinning back fist right there, right off the bat. Kind of showing his cards a little bit that he's going for the knockout in this one.
And he's doing some few different, some different things out there now with kicks and punches. So this round, I like to see is now how your conditioning is really going to tell. You go to a round 3 after 2 hard rounds, it's going to tell how you're conditioned.
4.5 minutes left into this 5-minute first fight of the night to go all 3 rounds, or at least into the third round. Hasn't quite gone the distance yet. Now, it's been pretty even so far, maybe a little more action in the second round. At this point, obviously, your mentality is to continue the fight going, but do you keep somewhere in your mind that you have to impress the judges in this last round?
Definitely, you have to. I mean, say they 1 round each. I mean, you got to do something in the third round to set yourself ahead of the other guy. Whether it's a big takedown, a couple takedowns, or some big strikes, you got to do something. And they're both striking here. It's good. They're both going at it. I think they're both trying to do their thing. But the one thing is, in those decisions, you never want to leave in the hands of the judges.
Yeah.
You never do.
It just depends on how those judges score the fight.
Exactly. You want to knock them out. You want to submit them. That's usually the best way to do it.
And both fighters showing no signs of want to bring this to the ground, expecting a hard-fought third round, 3.5 minutes left. And David Burgara has Josh Gow pinned up against the cage right now.
Double leg takedown. I mean, very standard, but you can't really do much when it grabs your ankles.
Yeah, as you're looking at it, it seems David maybe playing a little bit more of a defensive role right about now, or is it still pretty even?
No, they're both doing good. They're both standing up. They're both throwing. I think either of them were really, well, David himself wasn't getting anything through that was hard or a knockout category, so he's like, I want to take this to the ground, maybe do some ground and pound, because he did get some of the ground and pound last time, so maybe that's his thing here too. He might try and get a side mount here. He's on the side mount. He might start doing some ground and pound.
Josh Gow slipping off to his back here. David Burgara on top. Just under 3 minutes left in round 3 of our co-main event this evening. It has been a wildly entertaining fight, back and forth so far.
This is an entertaining fight. They're both doing a lot of things.
Okay, now he's got the back position on Josh Gow.
He's got one hook in with his leg. Josh is staying calm though.
Definitely in a little bit of a pinch now for Josh Gow. If he's going to escape this where he's at now, what's he got to do?
Well, he's got to spin out of there. He's got to grab his wrist and kind of spin out and turn to the right and get some. That'll allow him to get out of that position. It's not easier said than done.
Yeah.
But that's not an easy position to be in.
And especially when David's got you hooked by the arm and by the leg, cutting off a lot of your mobility. Probably looking to try to get, as you said, some sort of spin move up and out of it here as we approach the final 2 minutes of our co-main event of this evening. You got to expect that any moment now this action is going to pick up fast and furious quick.
Well, Josh has really got to do something. I think he's frustrated. He knows that he can't be just sitting on his back being controlled by David, because that's going to put the judges around in David's numbers. So he's got to get up. He's got to do something. He's got to his feet now.
And he does hard left elbow there. Kind of connects, kind of not really at this point, and a couple of knees there from David Burgara. Obviously wanting to get him going for the lock right here is Josh Gow. Couldn't he actually get the lock? He was going for the same hold in the second round. David Burgara able to hold him off.
He was doing it, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem, he just doesn't have it quite extended enough to and locked in where he can get it.
Definitely still seems to be moving that arm, though, for what he wants. And again, David in that defensive position trying to push him up against the cage.
Yeah, he's trying to push him against the cage, get him to have to let go of the arm. And it's not easy to hold that position in either. Oh, and what a nice move by David to make the difference, how he's hooking his arms around it, his arms and Josh's arms. He had it for a second, which probably alleviates some of the pressure.
50 seconds left in
And
our co-main event. We could be going the distance on this one. Great fight by both. They've given it all they have. They're still in it. The crowd is loving this action right now. 35 seconds left. A lot's got to happen for these two guys in the next 30 seconds.
It is. Dave's just got to start throwing punches. He's got to start throwing strikes and make sure he takes the round. I mean, that was a good move by Josh, but now here's David.
And he does, throwing the bombs on the right side.
He's got 18 seconds.
And still Josh able to reverse that pressure. Into the final 10 seconds, we may have our first fight that is going to go the distance. It's sure looking that way. What a great co-main event this has been. Front Street Fights 3 presented by BodyandBuilding.com. There it is. This fight is going to the judges. This is going to be a tough one to call, Jeremy.
Definitely. It's a close fight. They're both aggressive. It's not like they weren't aggressive. I thought what maybe made the difference was David, a lot of control on the mat. He had control. He was the one initiating the takedowns, so I think he's going to get points for that. I think, in my eyes, if it was my scoring the fight, I would give it to David just for that reason. But I'm telling you, that was a close fight.
It's definitely close to call on our end. And as you saw a minute ago, a little frustration, as you can see, looking at him right now. And I think maybe Josh knows, is kind of thinking probably what you're thinking. That last really minute and a half to 2 minutes of the fight really kind of gave it to David to throw it into the judges' hands.
Yeah, definitely. And it is. It's frustrating because it wasn't like he got knocked out. He didn't get really overpowered. He got control in the mat, but you know, he just didn't get a chance to do his game. And that is very frustrating.
And obviously his game in this fight, he wanted to throw the haymakers. He threw in a Superman punch in the first round, spinning back fist to start the third round. He wanted it upright and banging as you like to do in your fights.
Definitely he did. You know, both guys come out striking, which I thought was great. David kept his distance. I said those distance strikes were great.
And as we wait the judge's decision, you can see here again the control that you were talking about David having on Josh on the ground game.
And it makes a difference to conditioning. Right here, David's just laying on him. You know, Josh has got to fight and use all the energy to get up, and it makes it tough. You get frustrated where Dave's kind of controlling, laying on him, you know, taking deep breaths, which, you know, is a big thing when you're on top.
And again, just an absolutely wildly entertaining fight tonight. Definitely in the running for fight of the night. Probably the best pro fight that we've seen. And again, not taking away anything from Miles and Matt Jones, Calvin Kearns, and Billy Martin, but definitely probably the most entertaining fight we've seen tonight.
Definitely. We've seen a little bit of everything. Like I said, I thought it was awesome.
All right, let's head back into the ring for the official judge's decision.
A round of applause for both of these fighters that traveled to get here tonight to entertain you at Front Street Fights. One of these fighters here will remain undefeated as we move to the judges' scorecard. Judge Randy Anderson had a 30-27. Judge Laz Martinez had it 30-27. And Judge Steve French had it 30-27. A unanimous decision for the Aztec Warrior, David Burgara.
There it is, David Burgara, winner via unanimous decision. You kind of predicted this one.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for Josh Gal, traveling down here from Spokane to entertain you fight fans here tonight. We'll bring David right over here. David, you're here from Twin Falls, I believe first time here at Front Street Fights. Before we get into the fight here tonight, your thoughts on the production, how has it been for you guys coming up here?
Awesome, Front Street Fights is awesome. They have good promotion to fight for. I love it here.
Now, you're fighting a guy from Spokane, you're coming in from Eastern Idaho. What did you know about Josh Gal?
I knew he was a tough brawler, and I just knew he was a tough guy. I just knew I had to be tougher than him tonight.
Your record stays unblemished. You now move to 5-0. What is next for you, David?
Oh, I have a fight in a month, so just get her back in the gym and go get that one.
We see you back here at Front Street Fights again?
Yeah, definitely. Bring me back.
Okay, we always talk about all of our sponsors. I know you had a lot of fans here tonight. Tell us about who you brought here with us and who helped you get here.
Team Scalavos, my coach Carl, my teammates Caesar, Arik, Alberto, everybody who helped me get ready for this fight, Joe. Love you guys. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Aztec Warrior right here from Twin Falls, Idaho, David Burgara.
Congratulations again once again.